Thursday, we have a story from Gaza that's unlike any we've heard before. Zahra Sckak, a 44-year-old Palestinian woman living in Gaza City, escaped the war thanks to her American sons, one of whom is an army specialist. Some of the things Zahra has to say about how Hamas and the Israeli army have been treating civilians are hard to hear and even harder to confirm as the fighting continues and foreign journalists are largely barred from the area. But Zahra's story, unlike so many that we're learning about from this region, does have a somewhat happy ending. We sat down with her last month, and Zahra told us she left Gaza in late December with nothing but a small backpack and the same clothes she'd been wearing since the war began. You didn't bring anything from your home with you?
No, it's, if it's not, damaged, it's burned.
And you couldn't salvage anything?
I mean, if you got out alive, it's like a big thing for you, yeah.
In 1998, Zahra Sckak and her husband Abdullah moved from Gaza to the U.S., where their 3 sons were born. 10 years later, the family returned to Gaza City. As their sons grew from little boys to young men, all 3 decided to live in the U.S., while Zahra and Abdullah remained in Gaza City. After Hamas's brutal attack on Israel on October 7th, Israel struck back and ordered over 1 million Palestinians in northern Gaza to head south as it prepared for a ground invasion. Why didn't you leave?
There's no place to go there. We're gonna just live on the street, I mean, we don't have anything to do with the Hamas, so we'll be safe. We know that every war, it comes and passes, just a period of time. We didn't know that this is gonna be different.
Israeli forces invaded Gaza in late October. By mid-November, they were getting close to Zahra's home. One day, from the window of her building, Zahra says she saw at least 4 pedestrians and 2 cars carrying families blown up without warning as they tried to cross the street.
And we tried to scream from the window, told him, no, don't pass this line. He didn't even hear us. He just passed, and right away, blow up. And all the body like that, it was full, the car, and it have a lot of a mattress and like that. They're moving like these seams, and the woman just came with all her her body full blood. She's the only one alive between her kids and the driver and like that. She starts screaming and telling everybody, kill me, again, kill me with my family.
Just to be clear, because intentionally firing on civilians or children could be a war crime.
Right.
Do you believe that was deliberate? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, because, pretty much happened in front of me like that.
Is it possible it was a mistake?
How come? If it's mistake from, one part, what about the others? Civilian just walking, 2 women just walking by, 1 boy, come on, there's something wrong about it.
When asked about Zahra's account, the Israel Defense Forces replied, quote, "The IDF is not at war with civilians in Gaza. The IDF is at war with Hamas. Hamas has embedded itself in civilian infrastructure. The area referred to is an active combat zone, and in order to mitigate harm to civilians, an evacuation was carried out." At her home that evening, Zahra says gunfire shattered the windows and shells hit the building.
With all this noise and with the shells start one after one like that, we just start to crawl downstairs, just go down the first floor and hid somewhere.
You and your husband?
Yes. While we're crawling down, it's the shooting didn't stop, and the shells one after one like that. And you feel your house start to burn. Because, everything is hot around you. You can't even touch anything. The bomb kept going until the second day in the morning. My husband started to fade because, he's diabetic, his sugar was low, like that. So, something's going to happen to him if I didn't get him out. But that's the main thing. I couldn't get out like that, Because, all the rocks like that, it covered the exit where we're hidden. So that what took me like a while like to get out. And it was 3 days past.
You were 3 days under the rubble.
Yes. And it's like miracle, I swear, like, what happened to us, it's like it felt like you died and you just went back to life again.
With help from a neighbor, Abdullah walked with Zahra to this building owned by his family. In the lower level of a weightlifting center called the Super Gym, Abdullah's brother and dozens of other relatives were taking shelter in a space with no electricity or running water and one bathroom. It was here that Zahra discovered Abdullah's foot had been injured during the attack on their home. He was shivering from what appeared to be an infection. Due to fighting, it was days before she could get to a hospital. At the hospital, there were no antibiotics?
Nothing.
No painkillers?
No.
Nothing. They gave you nothing?
Exactly, yeah.
Because they had nothing?
Yeah.
Al Ahli Arab Hospital was overwhelmed with patients.
While we're like waiting to get him into the operation, he passed away like while here sitting down.
Waiting for the surgery.
Right. I couldn't believe it at first. The doctors kept talking. He told me you should be happy. And I said, like, why? I mean, why you're saying like all that? And he said, because I mean, he passed here in the hospital, not in the street like others. So you should be happy. I didn't like understand like that he's gone or, because I mean, he's the only one for me in Gaza. And I felt that loneliness. It's just like, well, what's gonna happen to me? Mm-hmm. So I started to hit him, I swear, like that.
You hit the doctor?
Yeah.
Because of what he was saying?
Yeah.
Because he was telling you you were lucky?
Exactly. He just saying, I'll let the people just come and pick him up and, Mm-hmm. But I couldn't let go like that. I, kept like holding him. And everybody said, let go. And I couldn't that easy like that. It's just, I don't know.
At that point, Zahra's eldest son, Fadi, was living in California. He'd been struggling to stay in touch with his parents. When you think about that last time you were able to speak to your father, do you remember a lot of it?
I don't think I'll ever forget it. He was, screaming on the phone, begging for mercy.
Did you ever say goodbye to your father? Fadi had been in touch with the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem to help get his parents out of Gaza. He was told the U.S. would try to get them permission to leave Gaza through the Rafah crossing in the south, but could not help them travel through the war zone to get there. That's a very frustrating thing to be told by the most powerful government in the world.
Right.
I can't help you.
Yeah, and I mean...
As an American citizen.
Yes.
His father's death made him more determined to help his mother.
After he passed, I knew that, nothing matters more, to me, than saving my mother from there. Because, honestly, she did not deserve to go through that. I should have been the one there.
Back at the Super Gym, roughly a week after her husband died, Zahra says 2 armed men she believed to be from Hamas killed 3 Palestinian women when civilians sheltering there defied the men's orders to leave.
Everybody was like, didn't believe what happened exactly like that. It's just like, even if it happened in front of you, they said if they're Israeli and people, yeah, we can believe it like that. But they're one of us, where they're Palestinian like us, they're doing this.
In an interview, the owner of the Super Gym denied that the incident happened there. So did a Hamas spokesman who told us, quote, Hamas has never attacked civilians. Hamas says it is fighting for the Palestinian people. Islamic Jihad says they are fighting for the Palestinian people. Did you see, from what you witnessed, any help being given by these groups to the Palestinian people?
Not at all. I swear. It's like they're careless about their people.
Increasingly desperate to get his mother out of Gaza, Fadi turned to the Michigan-based Arab-American Civil Rights League.
Our calls, our emails are of the most incredibly sad stories that you could imagine from Americans talking about their family who are in war, in active live combat.
One of their attorneys, Alicia Nieves, first learned about Zahra's case in mid-December. How many Palestinian Americans that you know of are in a position like Fadi, where they're trying to get loved ones out now?
There are thousands right now that are trying to, yes. What struck me about Fadi's case was that it said that his brother was an active U.S. military member. And I thought at that moment there was a possibility that something impossible could happen, which is we can actually get somebody from northern Gaza.
Why do you think the fact that his brother was active duty Army made a difference?
Because I had experience in a previous conflict where I was introduced to military veterans that were demonstrating a willingness and a capability to extract people from active conflict zones. I knew this was a time to make a call to the veterans that I knew to see if there was any way that they could help in this situation.
When we come back, how a team of Special Operations veterans got Zahra Sckak out of Gaza. Attorney Alicia Nieves connected with the Special Operations Association of America, an organization made up of former military and intelligence professionals who have experience volunteering to help civilians get out of conflict zones, including Afghanistan and Ukraine. But Gaza posed some unusual challenges, especially the part of Gaza City where Zahra Sckak was struggling to survive. But the rescue team started planning, and Fadi got through to his mother to help tell her help is on the way. In December, Zahra Sckak sent this photo of herself to her eldest son, Fadi, who told her a group of people she'd never met needed it to identify her and rescue her from Gaza City. You must have thought that's impossible.
Yeah. But when I saw the first message from Brian, yeah, this is one of the team, in that minute, I start to believe.
Alex Plitzis is a member of the Special Operations Association team that took on Zahra's case. So what was the situation on the ground when you began planning this escape? How intense was it?
It was extremely intense. At that point, Zahra was trapped behind Hamas lines in an enclave in northern Gaza, so it was an active combat zone.
Plitzis is an Army combat veteran and former counterterrorism official at the Pentagon. He worked with former Green Berets, intelligence professionals, and a Marine fluent in Arabic, all of whom were eager to help Zahra's middle son. Raji Sckak, a 24-year-old Army specialist who was serving in Korea while his mother was in Gaza.
And so for us, it felt kind of personal, and we just pictured ourselves in those shoes.
So why can't the U.S. government do what you're doing?
There are no U.S. Government employees of any kind, either military or civilian, on the ground inside Gaza. Having had experience in this type of work in government and understanding what the legalities are, we're kind of able to step into the void and try to set it up the right way.
The group of special operators came together quickly in December.
My mother, she's just afraid.
Just days before, Fadi Sckak had made a very public plea for his mother on U.S. television.
Every waking second, it's hard to, imagine losing her.
Things started to fall into place around Christmas. Top officials at the State Department reached out to Israeli and Egyptian officials to secure their support for the Special Operations team to carry out the mission. The Israeli military, just to be clear, had to help you get Zahra out of Gaza. Is that correct?
We did need help from the Israeli government for approval to move inside of North Gaza, because it can be incredibly dangerous when you try to operate as an independent actor, especially in a war zone.
So can you tell us some of the options you considered?
Everything was on the table in terms of options to get them out. Hamas still had shoulder-fired, RPGs or small arms fired like AK-47s that could have hit helicopters, and that type of rescue really wasn't feasible. And then you look at maritime options, can you come in over the beach? And you realize as you start to move through, you have to eliminate some of these options that are not realistic.
In this case, was someone driving up a car, a vehicle of some sort, to move her around?
That was really the only realistic option, but you can imagine, trying to get cars and fuel inside Gaza is difficult.
Using satellite imagery and coordinating with multiple governments, the team of operators carefully planned the mission.
I was operating from an encrypted chat platform sitting in my living room in Connecticut. My other teammates were kind of spread around the U.S., but collectively we worked our government contacts and they stepped in and helped.
But they called off the rescue twice because conditions on the ground weren't right. This is crazy making.
Yeah, I know.
You're getting all excited and nervous,
right.
and then nothing happens.
Right. But they kept me like really like strong like that. Just telling you that I'm gonna take care of you, like, just no panic. I believe it from the first time like that. They will do something. They care about you,
These are people you never met,
Exactly, yeah.
thousands of miles away,
Yeah.
who are trying to help get you out.
Yeah. You see, it's like words like can like express how much, you need to thank them.
When people hear the term special operators, they think of some out-of-the-movie action scene. Is that what we should be picturing here in North Gaza?
People have seen too many movies. They're thinking, you're going to see G.I. Joe show up in a giant truck. What you need are people who can blend in the area. So local, national, Palestinian Arabs who speak Arabic with a Gazan accent, who have a reason to be where they're supposed to be, and everything else is really what you kind of need there to be quiet. That was who was at the heart of the operation.
A network of trusted drivers got Zahra Sckak and her brother-in-law, who's a U.S. citizen, out of Gaza City and all the way to Rafah. What are you seeing as you're driving through North Gaza?
You don't know that this is Gaza or somewhere else. Like, there's no street, there's no buildings. It's like all ground.
Destroyed.
Yeah. Gaza was like not Gaza anymore.
On December 31st, Zahra Sckak made it through the Rafah crossing into Egypt, where U.S. officials met her and expedited a green card for her. Fadi met her in Cairo.
You could just tell by looking at her, she's been through hell. Like, I could literally see her bones, and it was very visible. And that was just, I didn't know what to say. Yeah. But it was a very happy moment for me just to be able to be next to her and to know that she's safe.
By February, Zahra Sckak and her sons were reunited in the U.S. This is the first Mother's Day in 10 years that she'll spend with all three of them. So if Zahra's son hadn't been in the U.S. Army, what would have happened to Zahra?
She'd still be stuck in North Gaza, along with a number of other folks, with no means of getting south, no food, no water, no access to medicine. And whether she would still be alive at the moment, I simply couldn't tell you.
We were able to confirm aspects of Zahra's story through relatives, photos, and published accounts. But with the war still raging, we could not find a second witness to the incidents in which she describes what sound like war crimes against civilians, committed by both the Israeli army and Hamas. There are parts of what Zahra shared with us that are very hard to confirm. Do you think she's telling us the truth?
I find Zahra to be a wonderful human being. I think she's a person of integrity. And I think for me to second guess her or the Israelis or Hamas or any of them, I would be speculating because I wasn't there. But I certainly don't find her to be somebody who's less than truthful.
What do you hope people at home who hear your story understand about Gaza?
We're not just a number, We're like a human being like that. I mean, we deserve better life. The people over Gaza, it's not their choice to go through this war.
State Department officials say that so far they've helped get 1,800 people out of Gaza, most of them U.S. citizens or legal permanent residents. U.S. officials tell CBS News that there are, quote, active interagency conversations about what more the U.S. can do to help the Palestinian people caught in the crossfire like Zahra Sckak. We want to thank two of our 60 Minutes colleagues, producers Andy Court and Annabelle Hanflig, for their help getting this story on our broadcast. And we also want to thank Face the Nation producer Richard Escobedo and editor Matt Jeffries.